tusi stories za jaba.
So that people
Good evening and welcome to the Social Newsroom. And my name is Mark Masai. Today, let's talk about tax, baby. And I know it's not quite the song that is associated to that, but tax is the elephant in the room. In the sense, everyone, when they hear KRA, even when you get a message on email saying happy birthday, your heart skips a beat. But I feel quite comfortable sitting next to two members of the KRA, the Kenya Revenue Authority, and in different capacity, they represent different departments, and they'll be telling us what they do. But we want to open it to you as the conversation continues. It is live on YouTube, and we'd want you to comment and share your questions directly to them. We will ask it because it's about you. And I'll start with Lydia Abuya. She is from the eTIMs team, and she'll tell us a bit more about that. And to Cyrus Arori, he is from domestic taxes department, but specifically on the debt department of things. But he is representing Maureen, who is here to speak about the amnesty, the tax amnesty program that they have. And we'd want to know who is eligible for that and how do we go about it, and operational concerns around the team's project that is being implemented. And I'll start with you, Lydia, and kimeturamba. Yani, in other words, times are tough, yeah? And we would, at least from a Mwananchi perspective, want as much as possible support. I mean, people see KRA, they see the government, yeah? We would want things to be made easier for us. And it seems, or it feels that when we expect that, it's actually the opposite that's happening, especially from KRA. Would you think, or would you say that is an accurate assessment of how KRA is coming into this particular situation where things are tough, as you tell us what you do at the KRA?
thank you, Mark. I am in the eTIMs project team, where we are introducing the invoicing for other taxes. Basically, we are not focusing on VAT alone. Right now, we are focusing on other taxes, meaning the income tax, the non-VAT tax brackets are coming on board, so that taxpayers can be able to generate, transmit the invoices that they are issuing currently. I know we are in tough economic times, as you say, and our focus as KRA is to ensure that we help the Mwananchi to be compliant in a less cost-effective way, so that they can be able to come on board and comply with the relevant laws that are in place, and ensure that they file, they transmit their returns in an efficient way.
So I hear more efficiency from your end. That's how you fit into the whole situation, helping Kenyans to be more tax compliant. Lakini Cyrus, watu watasema mmetufinya na hamna huruma. In fact, the word Zakayo has become synonymous with something negative. Speak from the department that you represent, and also to that notion of Nikama, you're out there to just make things harder for Mwananchi. Help people understand. Wewe kwanza unalipa ushuru?
Mark, mi ulipa ushuru.
Yeah.
Now, hii party ya kufinya, KRA hata si ya kufinya. Once we get to you, we discuss with you, tukuambie sisi ufanye nini. Hii country unajua ina run, na ina run na pesa yako. ni hii pesa yako sisi ndio utumia, then ndio tunafanya hii country ina run hivyo. So part ya KRA kukufinya, labda kuna mtu mmoja mahali kidogo alipata ni kama amefinywa, but si kufinya. We normally don't do hiyo part ya kufinya. Yes.
Okay.
Once we get to you, we get to discuss with you, tukwambie uko na hii deni. Unajua kuna mtu ana deni, hata wewe sasa nikakuuliza utapata uko na deni mahali. Kila mtu utapata ako na deni mahali. So once we sit with you, tuna discuss hata vizuri sana na wewe, tunakuguide vizuri sana.
Okay.
Then ndio ukilipa hii pesa yako utaona value ya hii pesa yako inaenda wapi. So from our department, it is not all about kukufinya. It is all about kuleta pamoja kama mpoa wetu.
Okay.
Yes.
So she's told us about eTIMs. Umesema you represent debt department.
Yes.
However, you're also here to represent the amnesty program.
Yes.
Tell us about that, how you fit into the whole picture.
Good. Now, you'll get a good number of us, especially the vijana. Kuna wengine wetu when we were joining like schools, the university, hiyo time ulikuwa unaambiwa unafaa kupewa help and you are supposed to have a pin. There's a good number of us walichukua pins. Watu walichukua pin hawakuwa na information hata wanafaa wa file returns. Then they reached a point walikuwa wanahitaji. Sasa tuseme mtu umemaliza shule una apply job. Kwa requirements za job siku hizi ama tenda utaambiwa you need a tax compliance certificate. So that's when the majority wanagundua hatujakuwa tukifile hata returns. So hii time mtu anaambiwa file returns, and now once you file the returns na kama umechelewa utapata the penalties, utapata na interest hapo, kama tuseme ulikuwa na pesa yenye ulikuwa unafaa ulipe. Ama kuna vijana unapata mtu alifungua kampuni, tukaambiwa kutakuwa na job hapa gava inapeana tenda, so mtu anafungua pin ya kampuni, but huu mtu hakuwa na information that anafaa kuwa na file hizi returns. So mtu akufile returns, then ukiitishwa hapo unaambiwa you are supposed to give us a tax compliance certificate. Then hapa ndio watu wengi waligundua wanafaa kufile returns, they have filed the returns, lakini wamepata wako na penalties. So KRA sahii imekuja na sahii hata hatukuitishi pesa. Hatukuja ati when you see KRA umesema hata ukitumia message ya happy birthday, the first thing unasema hawa wase wananikujia. So round hii tunakuja, but tunakuja na uzuri. Tunataka kusamea hizi vitu zote.
So ukisema the amnesty program within KRA, umse alikuwa amefungua nini account in the sense that kuna pin attached to a company alikuwa anataka kuanzisha afanye biz, lakini things didn't pick up as he expected, so it's in the back burner hata alisahau. Lakini akikuja tena kujaribu kuanza biz tena anaambiwa kuna penalties. So nyinyi ndo wale mnapewa wazee amnesty, yani mnawasamehe
kabisa, tunakusamea hizi penalties zote ulikuwa nazo. Ama kuna msemo mwingine unapata alifanya job, alifanya kazi vizuri kabisa, alifungua kampuni na akafanikiwa akapata job hiyo time before hata ikae. So hata huo wakati hakuwa hata ameanza kufile returns, but alipata the compliance juu. Once you open a company and you register for a PIN, automatically utapata the compliance. But msa alifanya job, hakuifile returns, hakujua anafaa kufile. So kwa saa hii tutakwambia you are supposed to file your returns. Ukipata kuna pesa huko unafaa kulipa, tutakwambia ulipe hiyo pesa. You don't pay the principal tax. I know saa zingine nachanganya watu wengi wakiuliza what is the difference between the principal tax, the penalties and the interest. The principal tax, ile kazi umefanya. Kuna ile pesa tunaambiwa hii ni pesa ya zakayo. Pesa ya zakayo ni ile ulifanya job, assume umefanya job ya 100k. Unafaa ilipie VAT kama ya 16%. VAT ya Kenya ni 16%. So the 16%, 100,000 job ulifanya, for example, the 16% itakuwa ni 16k. So hiyo time wao ukufile. So tutakwambia saa hii utafile. Ukifile saa hii na ni job ulifanya December 2022. So utapigwa penalty ya kufile returns zako late. Then kutakuwa na interest ya kutolipa hiyo pesa hiyo time yenye uko unafaa uilipe. So saa hii tutakuambia once you file the returns, itakuletea hiyo principal tax, itakuletea the penalty na itakuletea the interest. Kwa saa hii tutakuambia wewe lipa principal peke yake. The penalties and the interest tutakusamea. So ukifile kitu yote utafile kutoka 31st December 2022 kurudi nyuma. Zote. Bora it is the penalties and the interest. hapo si tutakusamea saa hii.
Hey, I hope you're listening to this, and please drop in your questions and feel free to throw it at any one of the representatives here. Lydia is very keen on eTIMs, and you say the TIMS project is, and team is really there to make it more easy for individuals, businesses to be tax compliant. And of course, your end game is to widen the tax bracket.
Yes.
We're just done with the Taxpayers Month. I don't know how it went with you and for you from your perspective in terms of your interaction, the types of questions that you were getting, but would you say you achieved your goal? And because there's still many questions out there, does that mean that the Taxpayers Month was a failure in itself in terms of the goals and objectives from Tim's perspective? From
Tim's perspective, we had a road show during that time. And basically what we did is that the tax clinics that the bus that goes around for Taxpayers Month, we were represented there.
In Chiotema?
Yeah?
In Chiotema, the whole country, Ama?
They usually go, depending, they have like every week there's a place they go.
Okay.
So it is usually like a campaign to educate our taxpayers across board.
Yeah.
And we were represented as eTIMs, and what we did is that we got views from the public. We usually get feedback from the public during our engagements, and some of those feedback is what we are actually trying to incorporate by coming up with a more better, with a simplified process for, like, you know, the mama mbogas and the mama mbogas out there, so that you can be able to bring them in the tax bracket in a more simplified way.
Hebu tueleze hiyo TIMS, kwambia huyo mama mboga, just to explain it to mama mboga or anyone else you're targeting with the TIMS program and project. What is it? How does one interact with it when it's seemingly online? eTIMS, it's an online platform that at least it sounds like that. So huyo mama mboga ambaye labda hana access to gadgets kama hizi, what is it? What is it? Kwa hiyo mama mboga utamwelezaje?
So maybe just to answer that question, you see, majority of our citizens, the majority of them do have like Lipa na M-Pesa.
Yes.
Yeah, that ecosystem of ensuring that they can track transactions, their payment transactions.
Right.
Now what we are just seeing is that you can be able also to invoice and have a record for documentation purposes, for your tax purposes. So basically we are bringing that ecosystem, the invoicing system into their business ecosystem.
Let me ask this, and be honest with me, because at first, when there's always going to be some form of resistance with change, right? For one reason or other. It's not a pro, it's not a con, it's not agreeing with it or not. But at first, people stopped using, it was said that people stopped using the bank accounts for business because of being tracked. And then they went to M-Pesa. And now that you're targeting M-Pesa, in the name of helping them be able to track their expenditure, or rather their transactions kibiashara ili waweze kufile vizuri, then people will now, do you think, or do you see this as something to look out for, that they will now go back to cash that's not trackable because of just the fear, you know? Do you see that as a possibility? Because obviously in your plan and your strategy, you're doing a lot of scenarios. You paint some scenarios.
Yes.
So is that a notion? Is that just stories ajaba, as someone has said, ama it's an actual thing that's happening?
Of course, we'll have some, we've analyzed our risk areas, and we've put strategies to mitigate the various risks that might come along during this implementation period.
Yeah.
And maybe just to mention is that from 1st of January 2024, in case you have like expenses that you need to claim in
expenses in a line of business, operational expenses.
Yes, operational expenses in line of business. That invoice must be transmitted to us.
Okay.
Yeah, for you to be able to claim it. Right now, maybe just to mention is that we've been focusing on VAT taxpayers for quite a long period of time. So what the Finance Act 2023 was bringing on board is ensuring that all other tax heads have come on board, eTIMs. So basically, any invoice a business person is generating, they need to be transmitted to us, so that if you are in business, you can be able now to claim that particular invoice in the returns.
Yes. Let's go back to Cyrus and to talk about the amnesty. And you've touched on it, umegusia kiasi, in the scenario of someone who probably had a PIN kitambo and hasn't been filing and finds that there's some penalties. I'd want to find out, just because you've explained a bit of how that works, how does one qualify? Tell us, how does one qualify for that amnesty? What's the criteria?
We have got two, let me put them like in two groups.
Yeah.
We have got those people who have got only the penalties. We have a group of people who filed their returns late, and what they were filing, it was the near return. You see, if you have got the PIN, depending on the obligations that you have, ziko na timeline yake ya kufile returns. So if it is the income tax, you are supposed to file it before, for individuals, you are not supposed to file it before 30th, on or before 30th June the following year. Kama za 2022, za 2023, say to file on or before 30th June 2024.
Income.
So there are those people you get wako na obligation and they filed the near returns, hawakuwa na kitu chochote ya kulipa. So these people who have got only penalties and interest up to 31st December 2022, they will automatically qualify.
2020? December 31st, 2020?
2022.
2022.
2022, last year.
Okay.
DEC. How at what they will qualify for that amnesty automatically. They don't need to apply. Yani ufai kufanya kitu yote.
Okay.
So ni kitu itaraniwa kwa system and it will clear all the penalties and the interest.
Okay.
Those ones who have got principal tax to pay, na hii amnesty na work from deni yote iko up to 31st December 2022. So ukirudi nyuma 2021, 2020, 1992, hizo zote, kwa ulikuwa na penalties na interest, na ilikuwa nini returns, you qualify automatically. Those who have the principal tax, how now watahitaji kufanya application. You will apply for amnesty in your iTax profile. When you are applying for it, you will apply for two things. One, kama uko na pesa kulipa na unaona uwezi pata hiyo pesa yote at once, tutakupatia period ya kulipa hiyo pesa in installments. So paka saa hii tunapeana ulipe installments up to June next year. So from now, if you have a principal tax na unataka ulipe, unaweza igawa mara 7. So that every month ukuwa unalipa some amount. Once you finish paying this amount, utapata amnesty automatically. So if you have got the principal tax, you are supposed to apply. You are supposed to apply for a payment plan, which will serve also as an application for amnesty.
Okay.
Yes.
And since you, for TIMs, if as you are projecting, it is implemented and it makes things more efficient and it's properly implemented, will that small business need that accountant ambaye anamsaidia kufanya hiyo hesabu, ama hiyo TIMs itamfanyia hiyo hesabu? Will it do that work for them in terms of the aggregations and the math and what is due, or will they still need to have that feature in their biashara? Because accountants wako, they're very important, to say the least.
Yes, they'll still be important. What we will currently, I'll mention about the VAT return.
Okay.
Because we started VAT receiving transmission of invoices from 2021 through TIMs devices, and now eTIMs solution. So what is happening is that the transactions that are being transmitted to us, we shall have a VAT auto-populated return for the month of January 2024, meaning from January 2024, the VAT return, it will come pre-populated with your invoice, with the invoice data details for both sales and purchases. So what happens in the VAT return is that when you do your sales transactions and when somebody else sells to you, you purchase, let's say, from me, what happens is that at the end of that tax period, you can be able to claim your input tax. So what we will do is that if I've sold to you and I've not transmitted that data, it means that your VAT return will not be auto-populated with my transaction details. So what we are focusing between now and December is to ensure that and have stakeholder engagements and ensure that all transactions for VAT purposes are transmitted to us, so that when we have that VAT auto-populated return, you can be able to verify that this is what you need to pay at the end of the period, and you just submit and generate a payment slip and pay.
Okay. To you, Cyrus, with the amnesty, is it for individual and company, like a business, or is it either or?
It works for all.
It works for
individuals and for companies.
All right.
Yes.
Then there's that letter that you get on, you know, the KRA agency notice. Ni kali kuliko bahasha ya Ocampo. You don't want to see that letter. Kwanza when it's written, you know, KRA. Tell us about the approach that you normally have, because it's dreaded, and that's the tone that it's taken on some WhatsApp groups in terms of questions that people are asking. Iyo barua, mbona unaituma na hiyo ukali, and yet there is said to be an amnesty, or rather you're told there are instances where people say the bank has been advised to freeze an account. So if in the name of amnesty and to really live up to that goal, why is that? Is there such a punitive approach, first of all? You're warning, yani, bwana, let me stabilize kwanza, rather than take the offer of amnesty before the threat of penalty in your approach. Why is that the case, and why has that been the approach?
The agency, at Ukiona agency, one, like we said, once somebody receives anything from KRA, before hata mtu afikirie ni nini, one inakuanga ni wase tena ndio hao. Before we get to the agent's notice, you see the agencies, it is normally served to those people, tunawaita saa zingine hardcore, wale wenye you have tried all the ways to reach these people, but you are not able to get them. Before you get to the agency, normally an assessment is done. An assessment, unaweza jiassess hata wewe mwenyewe, you file your returns and say that there's an amount here I'm supposed to pay. Then you don't pay it. Once you don't pay it, now the debt guys, ama the debt officers,
Yani nyinyi, wewe,
sisi sasa,
mbugi yako,
tutakutumia barua. Barua ya kwanza tutakutumia, one tutaanza hata na kupigia simu. But now you will find that most of the guys, when they registered for the PIN, were registered kwa cyber. The numbers that they used, either zilikuwa za wale watu wa cyber, ama watu wa cyber pia, wako na namba zao tu zenye wameweka. So utajaribu kutafuta mtu kwa simu, hautampata.
Okay.
Then now, since huyu mtu anafanya kazi, normally they do file the returns. If you are filing the returns, it means you have got an email, a working email. So we will send a letter to you. We will send you a 14-day demand notice.
Okay.
Ya kukwambia you have got, these are your taxes, you are supposed to pay them. Tumekupatia kama 14 days. If you don't respond, we will send you a reminder, a 7 days reminder. Ya kukumbusha, the letter we sent you, you have not responded. Unafaa kujibu hii barua. After 7 days you don't respond, now we will send you an immediate demand letter ya kukwambia lipa hii pesa yote before we institute the enforcement measures. Kuna watu hata ukiwatumia hizi barua zote, they never respond, hawataipiga simu, because when I'm sending you the letter, I'll send it using my mail. Na nita indicate hapo niko ofisi gani na unaweza nipigia na namba gani. There are guys who will see it and they will say, watu hata nisipolipa hii kitu watadu. As in, sisi ni wa Kenya, we know there are things unapata mtu anaangalia tu hivi na ana-ignore. So these people, once wamefanya hizi vitu zote, and you will see, if you check in the system, you will see who mtu ako in business. Baada anafanya kazi na anafanya returns na alipi. This is the only time utapata agency. So since hatukupati, tutatuma barua kwa bank kuambia pesa ya huyu mtu, si hata tukituma tuchukue hiyo pesa, just hold transactions za huyu mtu. Once umekewa agency, you can deposit. Pesa by the unawezeka, ni kutoa uwezi toa. So tunai hold. Once the bank ikunotify umefungiwa account yako kama imefreeziwa, now you will come. Utaenda huko watakwambia no, go to KRA, you sort out your issues there. Ukikuja KRA na utakuja. Ukikuja tukipata uwezi lipa hii pesa at once, we'll give you a payment plan. Tutakwambia sasa lipa this amount, then tutakufungulia account yako uendelee na biz. Ile agency notice venye inaenda haikui na ukali vile sisi tumechukulia.
Hata vile umedescribe bwana, nasikia uzito. Ukali. Unasema labda tutakupata lakini bado tutawapata.
Bado tutakupata. With the digital world, ndio maana siku hizi unaona ukifungua account lazima ufungue na KRA pin. Yes. Hauwezi fungua account kama hauna.
Don't know why I'm sweating. Kunaweza kuwa na tissue. Ni vile na describe this situation. So Cyrus, so
yes.
be back to you, and to you back to the TIMs, and there was this rush for ETR machines, and there was even a deadline, and there were adverts everywhere, but then again, things are going TIMs direction. Ni mtu alipata tenda ya ETR machine, alafu waka clear stock, alafu sasa ndo TIMs ikakuja. Tuambie tafadhali, kuna watu wako na concerns, they are confused.
No.
No to
tender.
Okay. Yes.
So what happens is what happened is I told you that we keep on evolving from one technology to the other.
Okay.
And maybe I can just give a brief on how eTIMs came to be eTIMs. It started in 2005 when we implemented the electronic tax registers for VAT taxpayers. And I remember that year, business people were like, no, won't, but it was implemented. So that time, the ETRs, they were just generating invoices. Yeah, they didn't have the capability of transmitting or validating that particular invoice.
Okay.
So then along the journey in 2016, we started the journey of now automation. Yeah, basically now we are coming from the manual regime to the automated regime. So then we finally went live in 2021, where now we started receiving invoices through TIMs devices.
Okay.
Then with stakeholder engagements, we had feedback from the public, and they had mentioned the feedback that we got was that the devices are too expensive, and majority of the device-based solutions were for majorly it cut across, yeah, from type from an ETR that is handheld for a small business to the big sophisticated system integration. However, from that feedback, we started now, KRA came up with a solution for eTIMs, where we needed to give a variety of solutions to our taxpayers instead of it being just a device based solution to a software based solution, where we have a varied of solution that depending on your business, you can be able to come on board. So we have the online solution where it's good for taxpayers who have services only. You just need like login credentials for you to log in and generate your invoice. Then we have goods, the other solutions that cater for both goods and services, where you can be able now to, depending on if you have a tablet, if you have a laptop, a computer, whichever device you have, you can be able to register, sign up, and install that solution to your device and start generating invoices. Then we have the other option for system-to-system integration. These are for for people who have sophisticated systems and you need to integrate with us. You can use the system-to-system integration, where you can either do a self-integration or the third-party integrators who we've listed. We've actually listed the ones that have gone through the testing and they've passed. So that list of third-party integrators is available in our website.
Yeah.
So a taxpayer can check on that, and since they, so that they can be able to integrate with their system.
So let me ask, does eTIMs right now that you're really going hard and pushing for replacing the ETR purpose, or does whoever procured or got the ETR now still remain with that, or are you slowly transitioning them in a replace?
We will slowly transition the ones who are using the TIMs devices. We will. The end game is that everyone will come on board eTIMs.
Okay.
For the ones who already have the TIMs devices, they still continue using those devices because we are able to. They're still transmitting the invoices to us. So we are running parallel. The two systems are running in parallel, and we shall communicate. We shall give communication on how to transition to eTIMs. But for now, the devices are still in use, and the invoices are being transmitted, and we are getting the information.
They shall communicate. Let me just sample some of the questions that we're getting from our YouTube audience, and there's one for you. I'll give you a breather. But Edwin Wahome, Amandika, and this is to the amnesty situation. The issue of amnesty, why can't I sort it at the tax station nearest to me? I was recently advised to go to my TSO, which is quite inconveniencing. Why go to Thika, and I'm based in Mombasa?
Now, for amnesty, I really don't know. I wish you could have specified whether he has the principal tax or he has got the penalties and the interest only. But now I'll answer him using the two scenarios. If he has got a principal tax, he just needs to log into his profile. He doesn't need even to go to the TSO. He can just log into his iTax profile, then do that application. Once he's done with paying the principal tax, then the amnesty, you will get it automatically. But if he does not have any principal tax, it is just the penalties and the interest, then he even doesn't have to go to the station. It will be an automatic thing.
Okay.
I know at the end of it, for some people, they have been removed. For others, they will be. It is a process. If it was in Araniwa, zinaenda zikitoka pole pole. So zitatoka by 30th June, kila mtu mwenye kuna penalties and interest, they will all be removed. So he doesn't have to go to a station, to a given station ndio afanye hizo vitu. The application tunaifanya ikue, unaona venye Lydia amesema tunajaribu kutoka venye unalipa na M-Pesa at your own convenience. Pia hiyo tunaiweka hivyo. You can apply using your machine, your laptop, ama unaweza ingia kwa cyber ufanye application. Hii hauhitaji kwenda station.
Kile vile mnaongea nikaa pia mnakujia M-Pesa account. Sasa mtaambia nani block.
No, it was
Okay, so this is to you. There's quite some questions. Sue Karaoke asks, KRA has, in her words, the worst services. We've been following up for eTIMs password to activate for close to 3 weeks to no avail. How do you want us to comply if you can't even sort the people who are willing to do so? This is from Sue Karaoke.
So maybe just to answer that question, during the registration process, the password is actually sent to the details that are on iTax.
Okay.
I remember Silas saying that majority of us went to the cyber cafe or when we were registering for our PIN, we are usually asked to enter the email address, which is usually unique, and their telephone number. So what do Kenyans do? They put any number on the telephone as the telephone number. So with eTIMs were basically we've integrated with iTax.
Okay.
So the information that is in iTax is usually pushed to eTIMs. So once that is done, during the registration process, the OTP, the one-time password, is usually sent to the number that is on eTIMs, that is on iTax, which reflects in eTIMs.
Okay.
So if you are not able to access that particular number, then you have those issues where you are not able to register with eTIMs. So what I can do, she can send an email to team support, timsupport@kra.go.ke, so that you can pick that issue up.
Eburudia to tena for Sue for her purpose, that email.
The email address is timsupport@kra.go.ke. We will be able to support her and make sure she registers.
Okay. To you, as there's another question, bado inakuja kwako, Lydia. People not actually aware of the amnesty. Hawajui that it's a thing, it's a choice for them, it's a possibility for them. First of all, is it that you failed to go out there and let them know, or what can you do to change that scenario so that more people know about it?
We have really tried, especially for those people in social media. I think wameona vitu labda hata mimi zingine hata sikuwa najua. Kuna poster mingi sana.
Okay.
For those people who are not in social media,
which is majority.
The majority.
Yeah.
Wale watu wa mjengo, wale mama mboga, wale wase wa boda.
What you'd just call informal sector. I mean, many people have smartphones and smart gadgets, lakini kuna watu wengi hawako social media.
Kabisa. Kuna hii basi uliambiwa na Lydia inazunguka. That bus has gone, imeenda places zenye labda hata sikuwa ifikiria ofisi inaweza fika huko. That bus alone, it is an office, it is a working office.
Yeah.
Hii basi inaendanga ikizunguka, ikifikia wale watu wako, acha nitumie jina kama mashinani. Like, kuna siku tumeenda Kamukunji for almost a whole week.
Yeah.
Tulikuwa tunapatana na watu wenye hata hawana smartphone.
Yeah.
So hawa ndio tunapata, na wengi wao walikuwa wanapata hawajai file returns. They have the KRA pin na hata hawajui wako na pin wengine. So tumejaribu kutumia, especially hiyo bus, tumejaribu kutembea nayo.
And how often? Is it just a short period, labda mwezi fulani, ama it's throughout mnapiga laps?
Hiyo basi iko ni ngumu sana uipate imesimama mahali. Almost every day.
Nikupe idea?
Yes.
To the team.
Yes.
Mimi nilikuwa Makanga once. Mnaweza pewa say free rides kwa mtaa ama kwa route fulani. Free rides.
Yeah.
Wakiwa ndani alipi, bora tu apate some information.
Apate some information.
Akipiga lap, akipiga rao moja. So unaweza kuwa kangewa hiyo bus, unaagiza watu waingie, because it's about reaching people in the language that they understand. I didn't prepare for this. I'm not plugging myself. Sijasema mlipe hiyo nini. Nasema tu it's a possibility, because mimi mwenyewe sijaona hiyo bus. Sijui kama Doris umeiona? Umeiona kaka? Ras, umeiona hiyo bus yake? Okay. Na ni kala gani? See red. Mimi nakwambia
Ni
ukweli.
white.
I'm just talking as anyone else would
With
speak
corporate
in terms of
standards.
because they would want to get to you.
Yes.
Unless basi kama sio wanajificha. Wanaingia vichochoro.
No,
Lakini issue ni kufikia watu. You need to reach the people, right?
Yes.
So that's the issue. So I mean, just getting to them in a language that they would.
understand.
I don't know, Dan, if we can invoice for that idea of the matatu, if we start seeing it in mtaa.
But also now,
Yeah.
we are, tukifikia watu sasa, mtu kama wewe, tunajua wasa unafikia ni wengi sana.
Yeah.
So we normally urge people like you,
Yeah.
kama mnaweza tusaidia kuspread hii information.
And that is why we're
Ifikie
here.
as many people
Yeah.
as we can. As in, we want it ifikie kila mtu, kila Mkenya.
Okay.
Either mwenye ako na pini mwenye ana, at least akishapata hizi vitu, akishapata information, once atakuwa anaingia hiyo route, atakuwa anajua exactly what is expected of him,
Yeah.
or of her. Plus again, sisi ufili poa mkitupea hii idea. Kwa unaona hii idea umetupea,
Yeah.
tukipata mtu mwingine atupea idea nyingine. Hivyo tukipata tu hizi ideas, hata zinafanya our relationship na taxpayers.
Yeah.
Unajua sisi kama taxman, kama sisi kama Zakayo, mimi kama Zakayo mpoa wangu ni taxpayer.
Yeah.
So now tunataka kufikia hawa wapoa wetu wote tukue
Yeah.
close na wao.
Yeah.
So mtusaidie kuspread hiyo information.
Sawa.
Na maybe-
Tusaidiane. lakini
Tusaidiane.
Tusaidiane. Issue ni kusaidiana. Yeah. So Wakaba Dennis, this is an idea to you, and he says, and I believe you'll understand it because it's in a language you will definitely be able to understand. He says, Mark, please pass this on to Lydia and let her know that they shouldn't block adding rows to the pre-populated returns. That's what he says. They can block removing lines on the purchases sheet, but allow adding purchases. Hiyo ni lugha unaelewa.
Yes, so maybe just to answer that, we had a public notice, I think, around July, early July or June this year, especially focusing on VAT taxpayers, where during the public notice we told them that purchases, when you're claiming input purchases, yeah, if it is not transmitted, then you'll not be able to have that credit. Yeah, so
Okay.
how VAT usually works is output input. Basically your output, your sales. Let's say you sell 100,000, then you have purchased 50,000, so 50,000 worth of goods. So the tax, it will be 16% of 100, which will be around 16,000. Then 16% of 50,000, which will be around 8,000. So you will net off. So basically 16 minus 8, then you pay the balance of tax. That is the VAT due. So then maybe just to add onto that is that if those invoices are not transmitted, especially for purchases, on the purchases area, you will not be able to claim that purchase until that invoice is transmitted. And
Okay.
the beauty is the law allows you to claim input tax for the next 6 months,
Okay.
up to 6 months.
Up to 6
For
months.
sales, you can be able to add
Yeah.
the sales that have not been transmitted during that particular period, so that in case there are some sales that have not been transmitted, you can be able to add, because VAT, we always usually look at the tax point
Okay.
of the transaction.
All right.
Yes.
I don't know. That's Wakaba Dennis who gave that pointer, and I don't know if Wakaba is part of the KRA team because amejibu mtu mwingine ameuliza swali. Alicia RVS says you introduced withholding tax on digital content monetization for YouTubers. Please explain do content creators file this tax, or does Google automatically deduct the 5% and pay KRA? So Wakaba amejibu, Alicia, the person paying the content creator pays the withholding tax. Labda unaweza add on to that, or
Yes, so what usually happens is that the person paying the content creator will withhold 5%.
yes,
Yeah?
yes,
Then at the end of the tax period, when you're filing your tax, remember the 5% will be a credit to you. So you'll be able to claim it. It's like more of an advance tax that has already been paid. Yeah. So at the end of the year, when you're filing your income tax return, you will put your gross commission for all your. You will collect your gross commission. Then, in case you have expenses, you will deduct the expenses, and that will also be part of what you will be able to enter under the withholding tax. Under the withholding tax, there's a cell, where you are able to enter the withholding tax that was withheld for the whole period, from January to December, and then you pay the balance of tax. That's all.
Okay. Kahi Lloyd asked another question. This is specific to TIMS. I'm very unsatisfied with how the KRA call center is handling calls related to TIMS. The whole afternoon, I have been following up an issue only to be told the eTIMs team works till 5, so I can't get help. The team at call center disconnected my calls on several attempts. This is Lloyd, Kahi Lloyd.
Apologies, Lloyd. Maybe, since I don't know, I wish he had posted what the issue is.
Yeah.
Maybe he can just write to team support.
Yeah.
The email I gave earlier on, so that you can be able to support him accordingly, and maybe he can just leave his number. We can call him back.
Okay. Unaweza ambia Kahi Lloyd hiyo email tena, usiogope kuisema tena na tena na tena. Kitambo nikiwa mainstream tulikuwa tuna repeat SMS line, watu waendelee ku SMS, but siku hizi tuko social media. But you can repeat it, please, just
so
for the
the
sake
email
of those
address
who
is
just joined.
teamsupport@kra.go.ke, TIMSUPPORT @kra.go.ke.
All right. Let me ask this from audience, because tukianza, ulikuwa unataka kusema kitu? Okay. Mbona ukiinua mkono, unajua? When you KRA, please speak. Audience questions here. This is someone who asked, and I'll read it verbatim. How do we handle, and anyone can go for it, how do we handle business expenses incurred in a foreign country without access to eTIMs? For example, if we were to conduct a meeting in Uganda under these new regulations, would you be declining all those expenses? So anapiga bizu kule Uganda, but how does he handle business expenses incurred in a foreign country without access to TIMs? I know, just clarify for people to understand how the TIMs will accommodate biashara ambayo inafanya out of the Republic.
Out of the Republic, I think they need, of course, documentary evidence
of the expenses
that they've incurred.
Okay.
And maybe just to mention is that currently we have the eTIMs regulations that that have been hosted on our website for public participation, and I think they need to forward their views there, so that you can be able to incorporate, because the guidelines are going to be published later during this year. So the public participation is currently ongoing till 28th of December.
Okay.
Yes. So let them forward their views so that we can be able, our policy department can be able to incorporate some of the views before they are published.
But to this question ambayo, or this feedback amekupea wewe, umesema there has to be documentary evidence of the expenses that you have taken in as a business outside of Kenya.
Yes.
All right. Kuna nyingine hapa. How can one integrate directly with eTIMs so that we can avoid having two invoice systems, which we somewhat touched on, at our shops? For example, for those already having point of sale and invoice systems.
So for point of sale and invoice systems, we have the system-to-system integration, as I earlier mentioned. If you have the technical capacity, you have technicians who can be able to go through our technical specifications.
Yes.
We have published the technical specifications for eTIMs. They can be able to go through the technical specifications and come up with how they'll be able to integrate with us through the system-to-system integration. If they don't have the technical capacity, then we have hosted the third-party integrators. On the list is also published on our website, where they can be able to engage them and see who best fit to integrate with them, and then they do the system-to-system integration.
All right, this next question sounds a bit technical, but it's still to the TIMS platform. Can we get access to the source code so we can do our own customizations that can maybe feed back into the wider platform in the future?
So the source code might be tricky, but what we've done, as earlier mentioned, we have the system-to-system integration again, to just answer that question, where they'll be able to check on the specification, the TIS documentation, and I'll be a bit technical, I'm sorry for this
I don't know,
bit.
Google badai.
For this bit, where they'll be able to do the various APIs integration, the API integration, where we've exposed our APIs so that they can be able to communicate with our servers. So what we are doing is that one can be able to actually register on the sandbox environment, where they'll be able to do their testing and integration. Basically, they do their research and development in that environment. Then once they pass our various checks and quality assurance, then they will be given certification to go to the live environment, where they can be able to integrate and start generating invoices and sending to us.
Okay. Kuna swali hapa, because we are in the debt collection department. Na kuna watu wameona supposed, I won't say it is purported KRA officials wamekuja estate kudai information. What should the procedure be? First of all, there's a security aspect. Kuna watu wengi wanaweza shonesha nguo zenu na pia wapigishe hiyo nini mnakuja nayo. Hizi vitu zinaweza fanywa streets. So mbona nikuachie uingie estate yangu ama ukuje uulize maswali? First of all, explain what those individuals, if they represent KRA, what they're doing at estates, because in the name of debt collection.
You have said they are collecting information and a debt collection.
Yeah.
Two different things. Those guys, they are not collecting any debt.
Not debt collection. I'm just saying, because you're from debt collection department. It's the end game is to get the people who. Yes.
Good. One, those people wako na uniform, but uniform mtu yote anaweza enda ashonesha. Two, they have got the badge.
Okay.
Kila mtu ako na badge yake, as in any person who is approaching you and you are doubting that person, muitishe your badge. Then ukishachukua your badge, atasoma uone mtu ni nani, iko paka na staff number.
Okay.
Chukua hata simu yako, fungua site ya KRA, there is a number there. Piga hiyo number, useme unataka kuconfirm kuna watu wametembea, na unataka kuconfirm kama hawa watu ni wase wa KRA. Utakuconfirmia. Ama hata hiyo ID iko na namba hapo nyuma, but pia mtu anaweza enda a print yake na akuja na andike namba yake. So the best thing ni wewe ingia tu utafute hiyo website ya KRA, pata hiyo namba, piga uconfirm mse ni wa KRA. If this person is asking for information and you feel that hii information hata it's too much, ama una suspect huyo mtu, tembea tu kwa ofisi yote ya KRA, waambie these people they visited me, watu wako hivi na hivi na hivi, na information walikuwa nataka, since now I don't know whether they are officers from the KRA office. Naomba tu kama hiyo information inahitajika naweza nipeana hapa. So if you are suspecting anyone, hata usimpe information yako. But hawa watu wakikuja, shapigia namba upate ni mtu wa KRA, by the hawa watu hata wananga story mingi. They just ask for the information, utawapatia information na wataenda. Once they go, they will communicate to you. Hata wako wanatafuta information ya nini. We are getting a good number of our taxpayers wenye wanafanya biashara. Wengine wao hata utapata wanafanya biashara na hata hawalipi hiyo ushuru. So it is all that ni kuelimisha, you have got this business, these are the taxes that you are supposed to pay. Hata inasaidia expand tax base yetu. So it is only to get the information, na tutatumia information. Tukipata hauna PIN na unahitaji, we will request you to register for a PIN, then tutakuguide ni obligation gani unafaa kuwa nayo na ni pesa gani unafaa kuwa unalipa.
So watu wanakuja state, it's actually, you do have some representatives from KRA who are going around in a state. So wanakujia nini? Just to tell someone wakiwaona what to expect. Wanakuja estate yangu kwa nini?
Pia I want to know what you mean by estate. Wakikuja kwa estate, normally, ni watu wanatafuta information. We have got obligation ya monthly rental income. Tunaita MRI. Kuna nyumba utapata, tuseme utapata nyumba kama hii, sisemi ni hii.
Apartment block or something.
Yes. Utapata wenyewe mwenye hii building ama the property maybe huwa atalipi hiyo rental income. So it is only to get the information, then they will communicate to you wakuambie you are supposed to be paying monthly rental income tax ya hii property.
So kugonga na penalty.
Watachukua hiyo information.
Tuseme tu vile iko.
Yes.
Utanigonga na penalty ukikuja estate upate so unakuja kujua nani ni tenant, nani ni landlord hapo.
Mi hata basically inakuwa ni kutafuta ni landlord.
Okay.
Si tenant. Sina hata issue na tenant. Natafuta tu landlord. Tukishakaa na wewe, hii building ulipata lini? Hii building yangu ilianza 2020. How much do you collect? Utaniambia mimi na collect this amount. But hawa tutakuwa na kuuliza, si hawa field. Hawa watakuuliza tu information, unalipanga rent nini tusaidie na PIN number yako, then utawapea. Then hiyo information wanaipeleka kwa ofisi. There are people at the office wenye wata analyze hiyo information. They will call you.
Yes.
Hii building umekuwa nao since when? 2020. Una collect pesa ngapi? 40,000. So in 40,000 you're supposed to be paying 4%.
Okay.
So and ufile returns zako kutoka 2020 ufile tu hivi ukikuja. Now the good thing, so utafile kutoka 2020 utakuwa na principal ya kulipa tuseme ni 9,944. Utapigwa penalty na interest. Lipa principal yako, amnesty tutaingilia hapo tukusafishie hii side nyingine.
Unaisema na upole bwana. Sounds so good bwana. Like this is also, it was like almost like a two-edged kind of question, and this is because you're with TIMs, you're trying to widen the tax bracket.
Yes.
Not further burden the small percentage that's tax compliant. So tell us a bit about the intention, or clarify what the passenger clearance issue has been, because it actually happened during that period of the taxpayer month. And you'd say that really drew a lot of ire from the populace. Bwana, mimi nimekuja Kenya kutembelea, unaniambia nitoe simu zangu tena. What is it? Tell me, that passenger clearance tax, what is it, and what is at the criteria of what will be taxed and what will not?
So just to mention is that there's no like new thing that KRA was introducing in the passenger thing. There's usually a form that someone fills when they're coming back to the country, and you just fill that form to declare what you're bringing in and the estimated value, and depending on the estimated value, then you'll be advised by the officers on the ground on what to do.
Yeah, so you might say it's not new, but there was a new push, because it's just in the other last 4 weeks that people have been, whenever they check in, their bags open, you know, check this and that, you know, is this a new phone, is this a new laptop, how much the worth. Tell us what the criteria is. There was a figure of, if anything is more than 500 USD in worth, you pay on it. Just clarify, because there's figures going around, and in all this confusion, tukipata hizi messages kwa WhatsApp, watu tu wana forward as is bila kuclarify. So as I declare, nikideclare list of goods that perhaps pass Is it $500 USD value? What is it? Tueleze tu.
Just maybe to mention, that is, I think, Customs Department.
Yeah.
I'm not really like a tax, I'm not an expert in the customs area.
Yes.
But what I know is that that form that you usually fill when you're coming in, I just have a general idea. When you come into the country, when you're filling that form to declare the things you are coming to the country with. That is what will determine what you need to pay. Yeah.
Okay. Again, Mark,
yes,
to add on that, that thing, it is not a new thing. It's only that saindo ililipuka. If today, let's say you have a friend mwenye anakaa States, decide kununua kuwaletea mabeshte zake laptops kadhaa, very expensive ones, na anataka kukuletea sikuonyesha ni kama ilikuwa inatumia, azini decide kununulia a new machine.
Yes.
Ni kama tu import kitu. By the time inafika hapa, kuna ushuru unafaa uilipie. If it is a new thing na unaileta, unajua hiyo ni kama una import.
Bwana mali nimenunua, ililipiwa tax version yake huko.
Kabisa. Ukinunua gari, huko mahali unainunua kutoka Japan,
bwana,
si huwa inakatwa kila kitu. Unailipia everything huko.
Yes.
By the time ikifika hapa port, iko na ushuru inafaa ilipiwe.
So in short,
it is the same thing.
Your limit ni 500 USD. Is that the value? That's incorrect?
No, hata hiyo nilitolewa, kuna nilitolewa ya KRA, it was indicating.
Yes.
Hizo zote walikuwa wamesema if at all ni more than 500, na si ya personal use. Nikikuja hapa na phone yangu, hata nikikuwa na 2-3 hivi, ni normal human being unaweza kuwa na phone 2.
Lakini kuna watu wameshikiwa simu. Rafiki yangu simu imebaki huko airport. Nimekula siku kadhaa.
Yenye anatumia yake.
Ni simu imekuja tu, si simu yangu. But ni simu ililetwa na wakasema value ni beyond 500 USD.
Na ni yaka anatumia.
Si ni ya kutumia. Sasa itakuwa tofauti ni nini? Sasa kani yangu natumia, mimi nimeenda nikasema hiyo Oppo yangu imechapa. Acha nijaribu iPhone. Na unajua iPhone mali iko kwa price. Mungu siku moja nitapata. Lakini tunajua. So mimi nimesafiri, kasema hii nitaacha ikuwe ya nyumba, itumike nyumbani, nikitaka kupigia watoto na WhatsApp, bado inaweza piga WhatsApp. Lakini sasa dadi lazima aheshimike, ako na iPhone. Na hiyo iPhone imepita hiyo 500 bwana. Na nimekuja nayo alafu inabaki huko. Inafaa. So labda huyo mtu anafaa
No, if it is a new phone.
Yes.
If it is a new, hata iko packed ijanipakiwa, then inafaa ipitie hiyo process. But kama ni phone ya kutumia, hapana uwezi.
Sawa. To another team that we've spoken about, those who go to the estate to collect information, to follow up on the tax on rent. And people have seen it and they've been asking questions about that. But there's another mbogi bwana. They went through paramilitary training. Mnakuja kutusaidia ama kutushika? I'm speaking just on behalf of wale watu wametembelewa the shops in town. Why are you intimidating us, bwana? The name itself, KRA, is intimidation enough. Like, what is the approach and the intent of that? And I know you're not the one who took them through paramilitary training, but when you imagine it, what does that communicate to mwananchi?
These young men and women, when you undergo the training, that training ni kama kitambo, KRA wakati kwa ina recruit watu, mlikuwa mnapitia training, the general training yote. Mtafunzwa hiyo ya paramilitary, mtafunzwa vitu za customs, mtafunzwa vitu za domestic taxes, zote mtafunzwa. Hawa vijana wana collect information hapa nje. You know how Kenyans wakishaona mtu wa KRA ni story different. Vijana mtu anaweza amua hata saa zingine awafukuze. You see, unafaa utrainiwa hata ukianza kupigwa unafaa kukimbia. ile training
Mtu
haikuwa
amepitia paramilitary ni wa kukimbia ama kupambana.
good. Hiyo
Tuseme ukweli.
hiyo yote huwa inakaa ni ya it is just for self defense.
Yes.
In case of anything, in case upatane na ni kama hawa vijana wa NYS. Vijana wa NYS wakienda huko wafunzi ati ndio wakuja hapa nje wakakupiga. Ni training tu mna undergo ya ni kama ni self defense. In any case kama utafika upate mtu anataka akupige, then at least unaweza jitetea kidogo, but basically hatukuwa ati ni kufunza, ni kutrain askari wakuja hapa kupambana na watu.
I mean, speak of it from because you've been in the system in terms of KRA for quite some time, yeah, and feel free to tell us how it's changed over time. There was even a rebrand of the red fierce logo of the lion, because it's all about optics, and then I see videos on WhatsApp groups of vijana waki pass out in terms of being graduated as having gone through the training. Don't you feel, and this is in conclusion, because you've gone over the period turning points of KRA growing to become more of a helper than the aggressor. Don't you see a need for a more friendlier look from KRA, an image, an approach kwa mwananchi, in your view?
In my view, KRA has reformed over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I can start from filing of returns, manual returns,
yeah.
the queues that were in Times Towers, to iTax. You know, initially filing and payment were manual. You come, file your return, then you go and do payment again. You queue in KRA, then you go and queue at the bank. You queue at the bank, come and show that you've actually paid, and your return is stamped and all that. From that to iTax, to actually eTIMs first. When we rolled eTIMs, it was more of filing online.
Yes.
Then you'd go and do payment and still come. So there was a bit of manual, but we started the automation process, the journey of using technology then. Then a few years down the line, now you could actually file and pay at the comfort of your office, of your home, when you are in at holiday destination. So basically we've reformed over time. And I know out there sometimes the common Mananchi would feel that the cost of being compliant is it's a heavy burden to them. But what you're trying to say is that KRA is ready and available to ensure that we simplify the processes so that we can be able to, the end goal is to ensure that taxpayers are able to comply at a minimal cost. Okay. And as you say, the officers who are there, they're actually called Revenue Service Assistant officers who go out. They'll come to your business premises and actually help you to comply. They're there to help you to comply. So taxpayers should not fear them. We are very friendly. And I know ignorance is very expensive. Yes. So if you don't have that information, or if you ignore that, hao ni watu wa KRA tu wanakuja hapa kutu stress, kutupatia tu, you know. Yeah. If you view us that way, then at the end of the day, compliance will be very, very high. Okay. At your, from your perspective. But if you actually just listen to what they want to say to you, you'll find out that actually these guys are just coming to help, because they can be able to assist you in being compliant at a minimal cost.
All right. I mean, this is minimum pia idea moja ya matatu mpige malaps, mpige marao, free. Wase wapige malaps, and then while in the matatu, in the bus, mnawapea information, yeah? Because hakuna mse atakataa free rides in these harsh times. But although itabidi mmebonga na watu wa hiyo route. Kuna na cartel. Anyway, that's in my past. So as a last comment for both of you, and I'll start with you, and feel free to also add on to something that you really wanted to come out and tell people that, hey, this is the situation, this is our intention as KRA. Because there is an image out there, and that's something that you have to deal with, whether you like it or not, because it determines whether now people will want to associate with the KRA, the image. So that's why paramilitary, to be honest, is quite intimidating. Even the name itself, it instills and drives fear that, hey, hadi wamepelekwa training na military, kitaturamba, you know? So that is the honest truth, and I know because they are watching, you can't quite nod yes, but you can do this hapa chini ya maji na yone mkono iko kwa shot. A question, this is from someone who's asked, what's the outlook for KRA, na nitakuuliza pia wewe, but Cyrus kwanza, what's the outlook for KRA and business, especially small business? In your review meetings and strategy meetings, what's the outlook for KRA on small businesses?
KRA maani prayer. By the time tunaenda tukisonga hivi, we want to have that good relationship. Inafaa ukiona KRA, you are seeing something ni mse mpoa. As in, we have moved from ile era ya, unajua kuna wakati kitambo ulikuwa unaingia kwa ofisi unapata ni kama ni wazee tu wako kwa ofisi. But I'm happy that as you are moving, siku hizi tuko na watu. Ukiingia paka TikTok utapata KRA.
Allah.
Ukiingia utaipata huko kabisa. Meaning that we are trying to get into the society. Tunataka kufiti huko ndani. Wewe tuseme kitu tu unaweza ongea ni Kiswahili peke yake, Kizungu huipati. Tunajaribu kukuja tuingiane vizuri kabisa, so that whatever you are doing, we are able to assist you to be compliant as far as the taxes are concerned.
Okay.
Hapa nje perspective ya watu wako nao na KRA is different, so it makes it even hard for these people to be compliant. But siku hizi ukipata kama mimi, any person, mabeshte zangu almost wote, mimi huambia tembea kwa ofisi ya KRA, get to know hata mtu yuko hapo, fika hata mpe pin number yako, muuliza account manager wako ni nani, ingia hata uambiwe station yako ni gani. Maki unaweza pata hata leo hii tukikuuliza station yako ni gani, labda utapata ujui, juu hujawahi ipata. So I'm not exactly referring to you.
Ni sawa, ni sawa.
Unaweza pata, unaweza enda haujui hata station yako ni nini. Unaona already uko na ile woga. So if guys, mimi I'm requesting them, tembenga kwa hizi office. Ukiona mtu wa KRA, watu as much as ile perspective iko hapa nje ni different, but we are the normal people, we are the friendly people. Sisi watu ndio tunatembea hapa nje pamoja, weekend tunapiga round pamoja, tunafanya vitu zetu, tukivisit tuseme ni children's home, tuko pamoja sisi wote, tukienda church tuko pamoja. That relationship tuko nayo sisi kama mabeshte, watu tunaenda church pamoja, choir members pamoja. Tukisha kuwa nayo, hata tutachange vitu mingi sana. Hatutaifikia, unaona paka hii pa tunafikia ya agency, utaifikia. Utakuwa unaona barua ya KRA, hautaogopa, hautafunga biz. Utakuwa unaiona unasema, hii barua nimetumiwa, wacha basi nipigie Cyrus, nimuuliza hata nani anaweza nisaidia na how best can I resolve this issue. By doing that way, by the way, create relationship poa na watu, na compliance level zetu zitakuwa huko juu.
Acha nikuulize, because pia una represent, or you've worked within the debt collection department, debt department, let me call it debt department, sorry. Kuna instances watu wamejaza, wamefile returns, na inaonekana from the aggregation KRA owes them. Si kuna kwanga na hiyo instance. Lakini manze KRA kulipa ni ngori. Nyinyi mnataka tulipe, lakini manze kabla upate hiyo what is owed to you, what's the process? Who do I tupe number huo mse, apigiwe. Sababu I am yet to meet mse amepata reimbursement ya KRA. Show us by example. Munataka tulipeni pia. Mimi nasema instant instance nimesikia kwa mtu si mimi nasema tu lakini who are we to go to?
Ningesema mimi but sasa juu niko huko, wacha nisatumie example yangu.
Okay.
Before I joined the KRA, mimi niliwaipata refund.
Ulipata?
Nilipata. Nililipwa. Si ati nilipwa juu I knew someone. By the time nikijoin KRA sikuwa najua mtu yote. Niliingia tu. Hakuna mse ningesema ati najua huyu. So before niingie, I applied for a refund na nikapata. Now my refund inatoka kwa especially wanafanya job. Kuna mahali unafanya job, uko na insurance, unajua insurance inafaa kupunguza nini yako. So unapata mse amefanya returns zake na amapata pesa alikatwa ni mingi kuliko yenye alikuwa anafaa akatwe. Utapata nao uko na ukifanya return yako inakuja negative. Once it is a negative, that's a refund.
Okay.
Ukisha apply, now you will apply for a refund online. Hapo kwa eTax, uta login, kuna part ya refund, uta apply hapo, na huko kuna mahali inakuuliza hii refund inatoka wapi. Kuna mse unapata hata unaona uliambiwa kuna wakati kwa tunaongea juu ya withholding tax. Nilifanya job na ni vatable. Kuna VAT input, kuna VAT output. Ikakuwa hizi vitu zangu zikinet off, nikitumia paka ile withholding napata hata KRA iko na pesa yangu. Kisha pata iko hivyo, we apply for a refund. Itakuuliza huko hii refund inatoka wapi? Is it an overpayment ama ulikuwa overtaxed? Utaulizwa hizo vitu zote. You will explain. Once you have applied for a refund bado hiyo section ya refund iko under debt. So utafanya application, then itakuja kwa mtu wa refund. Mtu wa refund atatuma hii request yako to your TSO. TSO ni Tax Service Office station yako. Itatuma huko. Hawa watu wa TSO hata watakupigia simu. Watakuita wakwambie if hujeka documents zako zote huko, watakuita ulete hizo documents zote. Kama hauna wataicancel. Kama uko nazo wataiprocess na utapewa refund.
Hiyo refund itataxiwa.
Hapana. Refund itaxiwi. Refund ukisha apply inakuja. If utakuwa unafundishiwe 10k, utarudishiwa 10k yako. Na utatumiwa utatumiwa kwa bank account. In fact hata kuna option nyingine ya bank account watakutumia huko. So hao unapatanga wengi wao ni mtu tu alifanya returns na hata labda utapata mtu alifanya vibaya. Unajua utafanywa paka audit. Juu before urudishiwe pesa si rahisi.
Umeona vile umesema?
Exactly. Kabisa. Hiyo nao ni ukweli. Before irudishwe,
documentation
lazima ukuwe na documentation. And now the problem we have, sisi usahau hii taxes before labda urudishiwe hii unafaa ukuwe na proper documentation. Wewe ulilipo mshahara, ile kampuni ilifungwa, hauna P9, so huwezi justify. So hata mtu anakurudishia, hata ajua anakurudishia on what condition. Once you have got the proper documentation, pesa yako utapata.
And maybe to add on that,
as you also tell us about your outlook.
Maybe to add on that also is availability of funds, because tunakuanga allocated that for this period, this amount is for refund purposes. So the refunds that will have been processed by then on first come, first serve basis. So utapata uko kwa queue ndio, lakini utalipwa, but availability of funds pia inakuanga key.
So, malizia tu basi. outlook of small businesses, especially you, since you want to expand the tax bracket, those who pay tax. What's your outlook of KRA on the small biasharas, which is really what you're targeting?
Yes, so on the small biasharas, as we go, basically what you are dealing with is visibility of transactions. We want to have visibility of the various transactions that are happening within the Kenya economy. And my view is that once we bring the informal sector into the tax bracket, then Mark, unajua venye tunataxiwa pesa mingi sana.
Yes.
So if
it's hard to hear to believe it from a KRA person. I mean, the assumption really actually is mtu wa KRA nyi mnatufinya, alafu it's almost like nyi wenyewe hata nyumbani I'm sure there are discussions ambie bana mnatufinya, lakini
sisi ndo tunataxiwa first before
we lead by example.
Yeah, we have to
yes. So you say.
So yeah, like if we can be able to reduce the tax brackets, yeah, from like right now the highest tax bracket is 35% for pay as you earn, and I know you nakatongwa pay. So you can imagine if we can be able to reduce that tax bracket by expanding the tax base and bringing the informal sector into the taxation, into paying taxes, then we can be able now to say that the policy makers can be able to say that we can VAT, for instance, it can be reduced, pay, it can be reduced, and then we are all, everyone pays taxes, we are all fairly at an equal place in the in contributing towards the economy of this country.
I totally agree. I mean, we're 20 minutes past our time. We started at 6:06 and it's now 7:26. But I'd really like to appreciate the time and the insights that you've given us, the clarifications. Maswali bado yaja, and I'm sure your team will still respond to the questions online and otherwise, because we'll be posting this online as soon as it's over, and also other snippets. Please continue the conversation online, and we are glad to continue, even serialize this, have other specific questions within the taxing ecosystem, because people want to understand it better. It's true, there's a lot of ignorance. Ignorance is expensive in this aspect, but there is also a lot of fear and intimidation. And I know there was wisdom in even trying to go with the brand, changing from the red KRA logo or whatever to a different color to make it less fierce. So in my view, as someone who now looks a lot into the optics of things, and I know I speak for many Kenyans, if we are less intimidating in our approach, in my view, the paramilitary approach somewhat makes it intimidating. Not somewhat, it makes it intimidating. Anyone paramilitary coming to me, bueno, we have to ask questions. But it is true, if indeed we see our resources, the taxes that we pay, go to, and I know you're not the ones to allocate where the money goes to in terms of services to the Mwananchi, but I know if we get to that day and age where the taxes we pay actually give us the services, the roads, electricity, water, the basics, schools, amenities that we need, no one will have a problem paying the tax. In fact, it might even get to a point you don't need the paramilitary department. Wananchi wenyewe watakuwa kusema no, you alipangi tax. Na vile tuna enjoy services hii area. Wewe bana, lipa tax. Acha nikusaidie nikuonyeshe. It can get to that level if indeed we see it working to our advantage and for our day-to-day living being made easy. So to Lydia Abuya from eTIMs project and team, thank you so much for your time, and wisdom to you as you continue to implement this. And Saira Sarori, wisdom to unpitia iyo paramilitary. Ulikuwa mmoja wao? No? Okay, so thank you for the time that you have given us as well. And also kwa kuzungumza kwa lugha ya vijana. We need more of that, Kuna wale wataongea the technical terms, kuna watu wanaoelewa, alafu kuna kijana. Vile unaongea na uzuri na upole. If you could just continue with that even in your implementation, I know people will be more compliant. We appreciate your time, we appreciate your service, and wisdom to you as we work to a common, mutual, beneficial environment and country for each of us. Thank you for those who watched, and thank you to Dennis Wakaba. Confirms he's not a KRA participant, he just knows these things, but thank you for your participation as well as the others, Sophie and the others who've written online. Thank you for watching the Social Newsroom. That's it. But if you missed a good part of this, we'll be posting it online. Please share with everyone that you know so that they can also benefit from this knowledge that has been shared. Have yourselves a good night. Asante sana.